Yeah. Yeah. Turn me up a little. Oh. Hey. Yeah. Walking, I am calm, but the message loud. No circus talk, I do not play for crowd. I do not chase clicks, I chase clarity. Truth with the rhythm that is therapy. If it feel heavy, that is how it lands. Real life questions in the palm of your hand. We talk love, we talk pain, we talk pride, we talk what folks hide when they outside. This that head nod, mind open, say it straight, no fine print. If it hit you, do not rush, let it sit, let it sink in. Chew on that. Real talk, real issue, where the truth stay at. No smoke, no mirrors, just the facts. If it spark that thought, bring it back. You need to digest this. Chew on that. You need to digest it. Chew on that. Everybody gotta take, I gotta land. I ask one question, then I ask again. What you believe and why you believe it? Who fed it to you? Did you ever read it? We do not do beef, we do not do hate, we do not do fake peace just to feel safe. We dig in deep, then we pull it up. Turn hard conversations into grown love. Breathe. Let it play, if it cut you, it can heal the same. If you're ready for the work, let me see you stand. If you're ready for the truth, put your heart in your hands. Oh, chew on that. Real talk, real issue, where the truth stay at. No smoke, no mirrors, just a fact. If it spark that thought, bring it back. You need to digest this. Chew on that, on that. Yeah, you need to digest it. Chew on that. This is true on that. Real talk, real issues. You need to digest this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Chew on That Radio, and I am your host, Randy Curtis, aka Mr. Chew on That. And I am here with another slapper for you. You underdig. Listen, I hope you guys have been tuning in. I hope you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell, all of those things, because I need you guys to keep me in the algorithm so that people online can actually learn instead of always trying to be entertained. Listen, you can catch the show every Thursday at noon on the Block 105 Radio. And then you can also catch it live as well on Facebook and YouTube. So you got to follow my social medias. You got to follow me in all areas so that you can get this truth. Again, this is True Radio, where we do not just talk. We think, we challenge, we build. And tonight, I want to talk about something that is silently destroying people from the inside while their outside still looks functional. I want to talk about the hidden cost of not trusting yourself. Not trusting your voice, not trusting your growth, not trusting your discernment, not trusting your preparation. You're not even trusting what you already know. Because there are a lot of people right now who are not stuck because they lack ability. They are stuck because they do not trust themselves enough to take the next step. We already starting. And that next step could be anything. Leaving the job, starting a business, launching the idea, applying for the opportunity, having the hard conversation, walking away from what no longer fits in your life, saying yes to growth, saying no to fear, moving forward even when there's no guarantee. And what makes this dangerous is from the outside, it does not always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like being careful, being thoughtful. Sometimes it looks like waiting for confirmation, right? Sometimes it looks like wisdom or preparation or humility. But if we tell the truth, a lot of people are not waiting because they are wise. They're waiting because they're scared. Scared of failing, scared of looking foolish, scared of making the wrong decisions, scared of disappointing themselves, scared of finding out what they hoped for might not work. Scared that if they leap, they would not know how to land once they take that leap. So today, I want to deal with that fear. I want to deal with that doubt. I want to deal with that anxiety. I want to deal with that negative thinking. And I want to deal with the silent cost of a life that keeps refusing to move forward. Because hear me clearly, every time you do not trust yourself, it costs you something. Well, what does it cost? I'm glad you asked. It costs momentum, clarity, confidence, opportunities, peace, growth. And after a while, it can cost you your sense of identity. Oh my goodness. Because if you keep ignoring your next step long enough, eventually you'll stop seeing yourself as someone who can move forward or can move on. And you'll start seeing yourself as someone who only thinks, seeing yourself as someone who only imagines, who only delays, who only hesitates, who only stands at the edge but never ever jumps. And so tonight, I want to break that, which is why this episode is called The Hidden Cost of Not Trusting You. Are you afraid to take the next step? Let us get to work. Before we go deeper, you already know how we start. And this is our books and business segment. If you've got a book, if you've got a business, if you are building something real, we want to promote it here for free. Why? Because visibility should not be gate kept. Just want to throw that out there. So if that is you, tap in with us. Let's build together. Now, I want to highlight a few powerful things you need to check out. First of all, shout out to the homie Terry Ann Richards. I want to spotlight Terry Ann Richards and her book, Success Takes Courage, the inside out approach to lasting achievement and happiness. Say it like this. If you are someone who is trying to grow, build, lead, become a stronger from the inside out, this is the kind of message you need in your life. This is not just about external success. This is about courage, inner development, lasting achievement, and learning how to build a life that is strong on the inside and not just impressive on the outside. She was also a guest on this show. Just want to throw that out there. So make sure you check out Terry Ann Richards and her book, Success Takes Courage. Next up, my big homie, the guy who got me into all of this, Zoe Williams. If you know anything about real conversations, deep relationship work, and transformational dialogue, then you already know what Zoe Williams brings to the table. I just want to highlight one of his books, and it's The Holographic Relationship. That is a powerful work for people who want to think deeper about love, connection, self-awareness, and how relationships really function beneath the surface. So if you're not ready, then get ready and get this book, The Holographic Relationship. Make sure you get it. I also want to highlight something that the brother is doing. that Zoe is doing with Dr. P. McCall's event called the Healing Box Experience, happening at the Miracle in Inglewood, right? The event is actually built around real conversations and real healing. And if you're in that area and want to be a part of something powerful, transformational, community center, you need to look into it. So again, for books and business, I'm going to say it. Terry Ann Richards, Success Takes Courage. Zoe Williams, The Holographic Relationship, and his upcoming event called the Healing Box Experience. Go support, go tap in, go build. And if you got a book, a brand, a business, or an event that you want to spotlight, reach out to us. It's just True Radio Network. Now, let's get back into the show. The hidden cost, right? We've been doing a lot of hidden price, the hidden cost. We've been doing those kind of, that series. This episode, the hidden cost of not trusting you. So let me start here. A lot of people say they do not know what their next step is, right? Sometimes it's true, but a lot of times this is not the truth at all. Stop lying to yourself, bro. You're like, y'all be capping, be lying to yourself. A lot of times you know exactly what your next step is. You just don't trust yourself enough to take it. That's the difference, because confusion and fear is not the same thing. I'm going to say it again. Listen to me. Confusion and fear is not the same thing. Sometimes what people call confusion is fear with better language. Sometimes what people call discernment is anxiety in a church religious outfit. Sometimes what people call waiting on the right time is really inner conflict wearing spiritual or intellectual makeup. Yeah, it's going to make you think. Because at the end of the day, you already know the next step. You know you need to leave what is draining you. You already know you need to stop shrinking. You need to apply. You need to launch. You need to say something. You need to stop tolerating what has already been confirmed as wrong, and you need to move on. But something is going on, right? Your mind is fighting your movement. And when your mind fights your movement, you start building arguments against your own future. You say things like, well, maybe I'm not ready, and I need more time, and I need one more confirmation, and I should wait until I feel stronger. I should wait until there's less risk. I should wait until I'm more confident. I should wait until fear goes away. And while you're waiting, life is moving on and time is moving. Other people are moving. Seasons are changing. Opportunities are passing. And you're still standing, having a conversation with yourself that's never going to end. And that is the hidden war that you're going to be fighting. The war is not always out there. Most of the time, the war is often within. And it is the war between what you know and what you fear. The war between what your calling is and your insecurity. The war between your desire and your self-doubt. The war between who you are becoming and who you fear is trying to keep you from becoming. And if you do not win that internal war, your external life will begin to reflect it, because inward hesitation always creates outward stagnation. Wow. One of the hidden costs of not trusting yourself is that fear changes how you value things. Listen. I got to sip some water on that one. That was, oh my God. One of the hidden costs of not trusting yourself is that fear changes how you value things. Fear makes safety look more important than growth. It makes certainty look more important than calling. It makes comfort look more important than becoming. So now you start choosing what is familiar over what is necessary, because familiar is better. It feels better. It feels less threatening. And I need people to hear this loud and clear. Just because something feels safer does not mean it's safer. Some people are staying in dead relationships because it feels safer than starting over. Some of y'all are just in your job drained out because it feels safer than trusting the gift that you have on the inside of you, right? Some of y'all are just dead quiet because it feels safer than telling the truth. And some of y'all are shrinking and becoming small and staying small because it feels safer than being seen. But what they call safety is actually slow self abandonment. Let me say it again. What you're calling safety is actually slow self abandonment. That is the hidden cost. The cost is not always loud, sometimes it is subtle. You slowly betray what you know. You slowly disconnect from your instincts. You slowly train yourself not to move unless fear gives you permission. Some of y'all are looking for permission. Listen, some of y'all are looking for permission to move forward. Some of you are slowly losing your relationship with your own voice. You've lost the relationship with your own voice. And now life becomes a prison built by your own hesitations. Not because you're weak, but because you kept choosing the relief over safety, and over the stretch of time that safety stops you from stretching to becoming who you're supposed to become. Listen to me carefully. Growth always demands that you leave something behind. An old version of yourself, old comfort zone, old identity, old fear pattern, old dependency, old need for consistent certainty. And if you keep choosing safety every single time, growth asks you to be courageous or have courage, you will stay protected from risk but disconnected from your purpose. I'm going to say that again. Every single solitary time you choose safety over your growth and over your courageousness or your ability to be courageous, you will stay protected from risk but disconnected from your purpose. And that is too expensive of a price for you to have to pay. Right? Self-doubt does not just stop action, it actually rewrites your identity. So let's deal with self-doubt. Because self-doubt is dangerous, not just because it slows you down. It is dangerous because it starts rewriting how you see yourself. And at first, self-doubt sounds like a moment. Can I do this? Am I ready? What if I fail? But what if it goes unchecked? What if your self-doubt goes unchecked? That self-doubt that you leave unchecked will eventually become your identity. And your identity will be shaped around phrases that says you're not the type of person who can do it. You're not strong enough for that. You're not ready for that level. You're not capable of that kind of move, and you're not built for that. And sometimes those phrases come from external from people whispering in your ear, conversations you've had, and you've allowed that to go unchecked, and that has been the framework of your identity. And once self-doubt becomes identity, you no longer wrestling with a feeling. You are now living inside of a false narrative and a false story about yourself. And that story starts governing your decisions. You stop applying because the story says you're not good enough. You stop creating because the story says nobody cares. You stop stepping because the story says you will fail. You stop believing because the story says your past disqualified you. That is why this matters. That is why this episode right here matters, is because if you do not challenge self-doubt, it will become the narrator of your life. If you do not challenge self-doubt, it will become the narrator of your life. And some of you have been listening to the narrator for too long. That voice says it straight like this. And I want you to do this. I want you to comment below if any of this makes sense to you, that you've heard this narration over your life. You always mess things up. You're behind. You missed your moment. You are too damaged. You don't know enough. You're not disciplined enough. You're not polished enough. You're not smart enough. You're not spiritual enough. You're not ready. Those voices are highly expensive. In the banking system of your soul, they are making withdrawals that are now putting you in the red. Because every single time you believe it, you are reinforcing your own hesitation. And every time you reinforce hesitation, you are actually reinforcing passivity. And every time you reinforce passivity, you teach yourself that you cannot trust your own movement. And now confidence starts dying from disuse, because confidence is not built by thinking about movement. Confidence is built through movement. You don't become confident by thinking about becoming confident and moving in something. You become confident by just simply doing it. How many of y'all can actually say that you're confident because you've been doing it? Or are you saying you're confident on the outside and on the inside you really have insecurities? Oh, man. This one, oh my goodness. This one hurts. Anxiety makes the next step feel bigger than what it actually is. So let's talk about anxiety. Because anxiety has a way of turning one step into a whole catastrophe. Let me let that marinate for a little bit. There you go. You got it. You are not just applying for a job. In your anxious mind, you're risking humiliation. You're not just starting a project. In your anxious mind, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're not just having a conversation. In your anxious mind, you're about to lose everything. You're not just making a move. In your anxious mind, you are stepping into disaster. And that is what anxiety does. It magnifies consequences and minimizes capability. If you tell yourself you're going to fall, anxiety is going to tell you that the falling will be fatal. It never tells you that you may be stronger than what you actually realize. it tells you what could go wrong, and it rarely tells you what could go right. How many of y'all are visionaries? How many of y'all are dreamers, right? And you get around somebody and you're just broadcasting your dream, you're sharing your vision, and they just start listing out things that could go wrong with your thoughts. They don't even let the dream, they don't even let you enjoy the moment of the dreaming before they just pop the balloon, right? They just rain on your parade before the parade can even start, right? And that's what the anxious mind does. It gives power to worst case scenarios. It starves out your faith, your perspective, and your reason. So now your next step feels enormous. It feels huge. Not because it is enormous in reality, because it's not, but because anxiety has inflated it in your own imagination. And when imagination is ruled by fear, movement starts feeling irresponsible. So people still stay still. They just stay there. They're stuck. Not because stillness is healthy, but because motion has been mentally connected to danger. This is why a lot of people don't even travel, because they're mentally stuck. This is why you cannot let anxiety be the decision maker in your life. Anxiety is information, not authority. I'm going to say that again. Anxiety is information. It is not authority. It may tell you where your fear lives. It may reveal where uncertainty exists. It may expose where you need grounding, healing, preparation, or support, but it cannot become your ruler. Because if anxiety rules you, then your fear will always be negotiated by what scares you the most. And that means fear will keep choosing your limits. But I'm not done. Far from being done. Because negative thinking creates a mental atmosphere that chokes action. Now let us deal with negative thinking, right? Because negative thinking is not just having a bad day. It is creating a mental environment where action cannot breathe. When your mind is full of negativity, everything gets interrupted and interpreted through the lens of defeat. The opportunity becomes pressure, the idea becomes risk, the delay becomes proof you are not meant for it. The obstacle becomes evidence that you should quit. The challenge becomes a verdict against your future. Negative thinking is powerful because it turns possibility into pessimism before you ever test reality. You lose before you move. Oh man, listen. If you ever around a negative person, I want this phrase to stay in your mind. You lose before you move. A negative person always lose before they move. You surround yourself with negativity, eventually it will seep into you and you'll start losing before moving. You surrender before the battle even starts. You decide the answer is no before life even responds. You ever ran into somebody and you're like, hey man, why didn't you ask that? And, well, because I think they're going to say no. Well, it's a 50% chance that they're going to say no if you ask, but if you don't ask, it's a 100% chance it's a no, right? But that is what negative thinking does. And many people have normalized it. They call it realistic. They call it being cautious. They call it protecting themselves from disappointment. But constant negativity is not wisdom. It is often fear rehearsing defeat. And if you rehearse defeat long enough, action starts feeling foolish. And then even when a door opens, you do not walk through it because your mind has already convinced you that the room behind the door is dangerous. Negative thinking has a hidden cost. And let me tell you what that cost is. It steals your enthusiasm. It weakens intuition. It poisons imagination. It erodes faith. And it makes courage feel unnatural. And eventually it makes a person resistant to their own future. Man. So let's talk about this now. The cost of not taking the next step is not just delay. It is internal erosion. And here's where I want to press this harder. Because people think the only cost of hesitation is delay. Nah, homie. Delay is only a part of it. There's also internal erosion that is taking place. And every time you refuse the next step out of fear, something happens on the inside of you. You weaken your trust in your own discernment. You increase your dependency on overthinking. You strengthen the habit of hesitation. You make avoidance more and more normal, and you give fear another victory check for fear. And fear gets bolder every single time you obey it, because fear learns. And if fear stops you once, it would try to stop you again. If fear controls this decision, it would try to control the next one. And if fear governs your movement, it will start building a lifestyle out of reluctancy. And that is how people become passive. Not all at once, but through repeated surrender to hesitation. And then one day you wake up frustrated, not because life gave them nothing, but because fear has talked them out of too much that they could have gained. It talked them out of the move, the dream, the truth, the launch, the leap, the opportunity. And now regret starts knocking, because regret is often the bill for chronic hesitation. Let me say that again. Regret is often the bill for chronic hesitation. And you do not want that bill. You do not want to spend years wondering what would happen if you had just trusted yourself with what you knew. Man. All right, so listen, got to pay some bills. Going to take a quick 2.2 break. And when we come back, I want to deal with why people stop trusting themselves, how to rebuild self-trust, and what practical steps you can take when fear has been running your life. This is your boy, Randy CHOO, aka Mr. CHOO on That, and we're going to take a quick 2.2. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are back from our quick 2.2. You know what we do. We're going to pick right back up where we left off. Why people stop trusting themselves. Now, remember, this is the hidden cost of not trusting you. So now I want to deal with the deeper question real quick, right? I know we had a lot earlier. And I just want you to make sure that you rewind this episode and listen to it over and over again, because I don't want you to miss anything that I'm saying. So now, why do people stop trusting themselves in the first place? There are many reasons. Some people stop trusting themselves because they made mistakes in the past. So now every new decision is haunting them because they have that old regret, right? Some people stop trusting themselves because they were constantly second guessed by others, whether it was their people, whether it was parents, partners, leaders, friends, systems that taught them that their voice was not reliable. That's key. And some people stop trusting themselves because they waited too long for everybody else's approval. Now their own instincts sound unfamiliar. Some people stop trusting themselves because they attached trust to perfection. If they cannot guarantee a flawless outcome, they assume they should not move. And some people stop trusting themselves because trauma taught them that risk equals pain. So now even healthy movement feels like danger. And some people stop trusting themselves because they have spent too much time comparing their paths to someone else's path. We all have our own road to travel down. Stop looking at someone else's road and stop thinking you have the same road as anyone else. You have your own road, your own lane. Walk down it, because comparison is dangerous. Because comparison makes you dishonor your own process. It makes your growth feels late. It makes your beginning feel small, and it makes your next steps feel inadequate. And the more you compare, the less you trust your own timing, your own development, and your own voice. And that is why rebuilding trust in yourself is not just about motivation. It is about healing the places where fear, shame, disappointment, and outside opinions broke your internal agreement with yourself, because you cannot consistently move forward while constantly arguing against your own inner witness. Self-trust is not arrogance. It's actually your inner agreement. So let me make something clear. Trusting yourself is not arrogance at all. Let me say it again. Make it loud and clear. Trusting yourself is not arrogance. It's not saying you know everything. It's not saying you can never be wrong. It's not even saying that you don't need wisdom, counsel, prayer, preparation, feedback, the whole shebang. It's not saying that. That is not what I mean by that. Self-trust in a healthy sense is an inner agreement. It is the ability to say, I may not know every detail, but I trust that I can respond. I may not control the outcome, but I trust that I can move. I may feel fear, but I do not have to obey it. I may not be perfect, but I am not powerless. I may not see the world, the whole road, but I definitely can take the next step. That is self-trust. And many people need to hear that because they think that trust requires certainty. It actually doesn't. Trust is what you use when certainty is unavailable. If you only move when everything is guaranteed, you do not need trust. You just need control. But if life does not give you control, then what else do you need? You need trust. Life gives moments, openings, decisions, windows, risks, transitions. And in those moments, self-trust becomes the bridge between where you are and where you need to go. So if you are waiting to feel no fear, no uncertainty, no vulnerability, you're going to be waiting forever. Just throwing it out there. Because courage, again, and we've heard this. So this is not me. This is not my quote. This is not my statement. We've heard this. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of fear, yet the ability to move on. Huh? Okay, y'all got it. So now let me make this practical. How do you rebuild trust in yourself when fear, doubt, anxiety, negativity have been running the show of your life? Number one, keep small promises to yourself. If you keep breaking your own word, your self-trust will stay weak because you're not going to be able to trust yourself. Tell yourself you're going to do something and simply just do it. Not something huge, not something great, not something explosive, but keep your own word as something consistent. Wake up when you said you would. Make the call, send the email, finish the task, take the walk, read the book, do the workout, say the truth. Why? Because self-trust grows when your actions prove that your word to yourself means something. Number two, stop demanding perfection before movement. Perfection is often fear wearing a high standard. You do not need perfect clarity to take your next step. You need clarity to obey what you already know. Let me say it like this. You don't need clarity to take your next step. You just simply need enough of the clarity to obey what you already know. And some of you are waiting for a full staircase, but life is only giving you the next stair. Huh? You got to take it. Number three, challenge the story that's in your mind. Do not let every thought speak with authority. Ask, is this true? Is this fear? Is this my past talking? Is this anxiety exaggerating consequences? Is this negative thinking assuming defeat before reality actually answers what I'm trying to do? Learn to interrogate the voice that is in you trying to stop you. Because all your thoughts and your internal voice is not you. So you have to challenge it. You have to interrogate it. And whatever gets past the interrogation room of your mind is you. And you got to build that. You got to learn that. You got to know that for yourself. Number four, build confidence, or should I say, build evidence through action. Confidence does not come from speeches alone. It comes from receipts. Listen. You can't have confidence in what somebody says. You have to have confidence in the receipts of their actions. And you trust yourself and survived. You moved and you learned. You acted and you adapted. You stepped out and discovered capacity when you think you didn't even have it. That's the kind of evidence that builds confidence on the inside of you, right? Number 5, separate discomfort from danger. Everything that's in your life that's uncomfortable is not dangerous. Sometimes discomfort means growth. Sometimes discomfort means stretching, and sometimes discomfort means you are leaving an old version of yourself behind. So stop trying to treat every single uncomfortable feeling like a stop sign. I talked about this on a previous episode. Last episode I talked about it, matter of fact. Number 6, get around people who strengthen your courage. Some people only magnify your fear. Some people only echo your hesitation, and some people only make you second guess your next step. You need people around you who honor wisdom without feeding paralysis. Let them honor the wisdom you carry without allowing you to be an intellectual cripple. Oh my gosh. Number 7, practice moving before you feel fully ready. This is the most important one, because one of the greatest lies that fear tells us is this: when you're finally ready, you will move. Wrong. Or like the youngins say, that's dead. Many times, movement is what creates the readiness. You become ready by responding. You become stronger by stepping. You become clearer by moving. Let me go a little bit deeper before I close, right? Some of you keep asking life for a new season while refusing to step into the one that you're in, and you're refusing the steps that opens it up, right? And you want the new life, but not the new risk. You want the new level, but not the new demand. You want the new opportunity, but not the new exposure. You want the outcome, but not the step. But the step is where the new life meets you, not in the fantasy, not in the endless planning, not in the chronic hesitation, not in your rehearsed fear, in the step. The next step is where your future starts, getting traction right then and there. The next step is where your confidence begins to rebuild right then and there. The next step is where your identity starts catching up with your calling at that moment. The next step is where fear loses some of its power and your confidence and your vigor begin to get stronger and stronger. The next step is where life starts responding to what you're doing. And I think a lot of people are waiting for a miracle when what they really need is motion. Because sometimes the breakthrough is not hidden in more thinking. It is hidden in the obedience of taking the next step, in courage and movement, and trusting what you already know enough to do the next thing. You don't need to know the whole thing. You just need to know the next thing. That is all I'm asking of you. What is your next thing? What is the step you already know you need to take? Because if you can name it, then you can confront what is stopping you. And if you confront what is stopping you, then you can stop letting fear act like it's your own future, and you can create your own future. So let me talk directly to the person listening right now who feels stuck. Let me let you know something. You're not crazy. You're not lazy. You're not broken beyond repair, but you may have been listening to fear for so long that hesitation now feels natural. And I want to tell you something. You don't need to know everything to move. You don't need to feel zero fear to move. You don't need everybody to agree with you to move. And you don't need perfect confidence to move. What you need is courage for the next step. That is it. Not courage for the next 10 years, not courage for the whole plan, not courage for every possible outcome, simply courage for the next step. And maybe that step is small. Maybe it's writing down the plan. Maybe it's making the phone call, telling the truth, submitting the application, saying no, saying yes, leaving, starting, trying again. But whatever it is, do not insult your future by staying loyal to fear. You have lost enough time already. You've doubted yourself enough already. You've been overthinking that same thing every single day too long. You have rehearsed negative outcomes enough. And at some point, you have to decide that fear is no longer qualified to lead your life. Listen, the hidden cost of not trusting yourself is not just that you move slower. It is that you start losing contact with the part of you that knows how to live, build, discern, adapt, and respond. Right? And when that happens, fear starts feeling wiser than courage. Hesitation starts feeling safer than movement, and delay starts feeling normal. But that is not how I want you to live. I want you to trust what you know. I want you to stop bowing to every anxious thought. I want you to challenge the negative story. I want you to move even if your voice shakes. And I want you to take the next step, even if you are still becoming the person who knows how to carry it. Because the truth is, you do not become the person before the step. Many times you become that person through taking the step. So the real question is not, can you control the outcome? The real question is this: will you trust yourself enough to move? I want to thank everybody for tapping into today's show. This is the CHOO on That show, where we do not just talk, we think, we challenge, we build. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. Shout out to everyone that's listening on the Block 105 radio. This is your boy Randy CHOO, aka Mr. CHOO on That. And I always say it like this: you can hate it, you can love it, but you definitely gotta chew on that. Till next time, deuces.
Chew on that. We dug in deep, now let it breathe. Take what you need, leave what you do not. Real talk, real issues, no sleep. Truth in the tone, it hit or it did not. If it made you pause, that is a good sign. If it made you think, let it change your mind. Do not just scroll, do not just react. Sit with the weight, then move with the fact. Chew on that. We said what we said, now build on that. You need to digest this, do not rush back. Take it to your life, let it work like that. Real talk, real issues, that is the track. If you felt that truth, you know where we at. Till next time, yeah, chew on that. Follow the movement, subscribe, tap in, we back soon. Chew on that.